have a special video for y'all today that is a little different from my usual content. I have gotten a crazy amount of questions asking how I make my placeholders, aka the empty spaces where no photo cards go in a binder sleeve. Ever since I posted my collection binder tour video, which I'll be linking over here, I've gotten tons of questions here on YouTube and on Instagram asking me how I make them. Feel free to check out my collection video if you want to know what kind of placeholders I make to begin with. Basically, I'm just going to be showing y'all how I make them myself, and this is just the end product. It's what we did today. But yeah, I'm trying to make this video so that everyone can use it according to their own groups and like aesthetic needs and palette. I will be using Photoshop, but again, feel more than free to use any web-based photo editor. One of the ones I like to use is called Pixlr, but yeah, you should use whatever you like and whatever tool helps you arrive there. But I get Photoshop for free, so I will be showing everyone how I get there specifically with that program. And disclaimer, I am no professional at Photoshop. I only use it for the things I need to use it, and I've learned it mainly based on what I've needed from it. But I just wanted to say that at first, and also I'm no teacher, but I will do my best to explain everything well. Feel free to drop any questions down below or message me on Instagram if you need any help, okay? And yeah, let's just get started. So yeah, I like to keep what I call my placeholder tracker. I don't use it as much anymore because I have basically already made a placeholder for most eras, but as you can see, this is what I had going on before. And yeah, I just enjoy Excel spreadsheets a lot, and I had it made by era, how many spaces I needed to keep, the number of placeholders, and whether the sign was ready, whether it was ready to be printed, etc. Right now, I'm just working off this, which is so simple compared to it, but it's just the ones I'm currently missing. So we can just make any of these today. So I think I'm just gonna go ahead and do the day 2 keynotes. And first of all, I would measure out how big the pockets in your sleeve are. I personally use the 3x3 Ultra Pro pocket sleeves. Basically, you should just go ahead and measure it out. Measure how wide and how tall your pockets are. I personally put most of my placeholders in colored sleeves so that the back will have some color. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and, grab your usual sleeve and measure out the height and how wide it is, and just make sure you have what works for you. So I already measured mine, and mine measured 2 5/8 wide and 3.5 inches tall. So I'm gonna go ahead and open up Photoshop because that's what we'll be using, and I would go ahead and click Create New. And we're gonna put the measurement in inches because of course that's how I measured it out originally. So it is 2.5 inches, so it is 2 5/8 wide. So I'm gonna go ahead and make it 2.5 inches wide, and that's a little smaller than the actual size of the sleeve because we want it to be a little bit smaller so that it does not bubble up when you put it inside and it has room to be inside. In height, it is 3.5 inches, so let's go ahead and make it 3.45 inches wide or tall. And actually, I'm gonna make a top one 2 inches and 55. And okay, this is future me interjecting and being like, hey, we need to make those pixels per inch 300 because I'm gonna have to go back afterwards and fix it. So definitely set your pixels per inch to 300. And I'm gonna go ahead and start the project. So I'm just gonna zoom in, and as you can see, I have my rulers turned on. So I can see that it is indeed 2.5 by 3.5 basically. We've got the first layer, and this is just the main thing. I always go ahead and unlock the background. And let's go back. So we are trying to make placeholders for the two keynotes. For Red Velvet, and oh my god, you're gonna see all of my search history, but so I always Google the cards first so I can have an image of them. It might be too early for it to be easily found. That's sometimes the problem when trying to make placeholders for newer comebacks. Oh, here we go. Okay, so let me just copy the image and paste it straight onto Photoshop. And I am going to resize it. I pressed Ctrl T for transform. And I'm gonna keep it here. I try to keep the cards together in a place where I can continue to see them because I like to get a feel for the color palette and like kind of like what the theme of the cards is. I like to make my placeholders so that they complement the cards and look like they're all part of one same set, rather than go for the themes of the comeback and have the cards be totally mismatched. So it's a little hard to tell the colors of these cards well, so I'm gonna go ahead and delete the background. So I am right clicking on the eraser tool to get the magic eraser. Okay, yeah, I think it's gonna be better without that salmon color influencing how I perceive the colors on these cards. Off of this, we can tell that the cards are grayish and they tend more towards the cool colors. So yeah, it's a lot of cool tones offset by their lipsticks, which pop out a little more, and Yeti's shirt. So first I like to go into Google or whatever your search engine is and type out the name of the comeback. And again, this might be harder for comebacks that just happened, but first I like to search just that. So I try to get some nice images or such from here, so let's see. Okay, yeah, so this is nice. Stuff like this, you can just go ahead and right click, open in a new tab so we can keep them together for now. Whatever you can incorporate easily into the design is good. Oh, this is nice because you can always just keep rep. Oh, this is nice too, the little tags. Yeah, this is nice. We should keep this. So often what happens as I'm making them is I just end up making placeholders for the entire era, because as you're looking for images, you might find some others that would be a cool idea for another set of cards. So yeah, these are nice because you're getting like a lot of different colors of that imitation card. Wow, oh my god, oh my god, Red Velvet's 6-member head name. Looking like a clown. Okay, so yeah, basically after looking for the name of the album, I look for the comeback name. And with Oompa Oompa it's a little harder just because it didn't have as easily as a sign to go off of. And yeah, I don't think there's much here, but this is one good tip. I try to stay away from anything that is a photograph and is not illustrated, because I don't think there's any point in printing out blurry real bodies, or not real bodies, but blurry faces and having it look kind of bad. I'd rather make my placeholders so that they accentuate and like complement the cards themselves. Okay, so next I'm gonna search for Oompa Oompa PNG, and this is kind of like the part 2 to searching for images. For those of you who don't know, PNGs is a file type for images that includes the transparency of the background, and these are super useful when you're trying to composite images, especially when you find like logos or little images from the comeback. Okay, this circle is nice actually, so I'm gonna put it in an extra tab. And yeah, this tag is actually really nice too. I really like the background. yeah, I kind of want more of those things with the background, even though they're of course not a PNG, but yeah, I might just like look for more of that later. And you can actually tell what is a PNG or not because when you open up the photo, it'll have a checkered background. And yeah, that's basically gonna tell you that it is transparent. Although sometimes photos come with a fake like checkered background in the back, so sometimes you get fooled. Yeah, but let's search for some more. Yeah, okay, clearly that one is not in PNG and it's also bad quality, so let's skip that. Oh, and whenever you find a good image, always make sure to look for the related images because sometimes you can go down a good hole with that and get a lot of good ones. Oh, that's cute, the little bookie. And finally, I'm gonna search for PNGs, but with the name of the album. Oh yeah, this is nice. Let's open that up. Okay, I feel like we're pretty good so far, right? Okay, so now that we have images, I'm gonna look through them all again and think about what I have. So lots of planets, lots of like the circly roller coaster thing, and yeah, the tags. So let's go back and look at the photos of the keynotes. So they're pretty simple, but I feel like they are also easy to complement. So I think we can go off Yeti's shirt just to get a little more color since it's purple, but that's just my personal preference. Those of you who watch this channel know I live for colors, so that's just what I want to look at. But if a grayscale or some neutral tones make more sense for you, please go ahead. So actually I'm gonna go ahead and search for the other two album cards because since we have so many images, we might as well think about those at the same time. So these are the cards for day 2, at least an image of them, and I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom in to make it easier to see. And they seem to be very bright, like very yellow, orange, blue, very like, and pink, very fit with the concept. So yeah, I might as well like make placeholders for these while we're at it. And okay, yeah, so I am gonna go ahead and click Ctrl N to create a new file. And make sure you choose the one with the measurements we had earlier. So this is me from the future again. Please put 300 pixels per inch and not the 72 I left there. But we're basically just gonna create multiple files for this, so just keep repeating the process a couple times. I have a feeling I'm gonna end up using the tags for the album cards, but let's just go ahead and open the images. So I'm just copy pasting images that I like and I want to hold on to into Photoshop. And don't worry if they're blown up right now, we're gonna resize them later, but yeah, just paste in whatever you want to work with. And yeah, just Control copy, Control paste. So I'm gonna zoom in on this, unlock the background, and start resizing those images. So about here is when I realized I did the 300 dpi thing wrong, so I'm just copy pasting things onto a better document with the right settings. And right about here, I am just clicking that little eye to hide something so I don't have to see it for the moment. So now that we have all the images here, we can resize them and use them as we need. But first of all, I'm gonna go back and look at the keynote cards again. I think I may want this purple image as the background. So I'm gonna go ahead and resize it. Once again, I'm doing that by doing Control T. That's to do transform. But you can also go to edit, free transform, but I just do Control T because it's a lot easier and faster. Let's put this over here, but as you can see, it didn't seem to download with the PNG. So the good thing is we can just go ahead and get our magic eraser tool and boop, just illuminate that background. So I'm not sure about this logo here yet, but just so y'all know, basically the way layers work, the one on top will show up first than the other, so this other one you can't really see it, so I'm gonna bring it up to the top. And I don't know, to be honest, I'm not really loving how this looks so far, but I just remembered that I should look up something, so I'm gonna go ahead and look up the trailer animation that SM released right before Oompa Oompa. So I'm gonna go ahead and get right to that. So I'm trying to find like a background image that's larger and has more blank space, but I don't seem to be in luck yet. But oh my god, look what I found! Someone made this! It is so freaking cute! I'm keeping this for later because damn, the girls look so cute in this. They look like Polly Pockets basically, it's so rad. And the person makes some other cool art. I'm gonna look him up later. Okay, so I found it and I'm gonna bring it into the best quality possible. So after looking for it for a while, I can't show the clips because of copyright claims, but yeah, I think I actually really like it when the robot has like the, what's it called, binocular? Unicular? Telescope? Unicular. Oh my god. Okay, when the robot probe shines the telescope onto specific parts. So in order to screenshot this and not have like YouTube's timeline thing at the bottom, I recommend doing the Windows button and print screen for Windows. And Mac users, I think it was Command-Shift-4 to do a full screen screenshot from what I remember, but you should look it up and confirm. Okay, so I'm taking some screenshots and let's just go see if I got anything good. And yeah, sorry, I have a lot of Red Velvet screenshots, but yeah, I actually kind of like the ones I got. They're not too blurry or anything, so. And yeah, sorry if I'm taking a while to like examine everything and this is all taking a while. I'm trying to give everyone like a very comprehensive guide of how to do this step by step, and honestly it takes me a long time to get through these, but I think that's why they come out looking pretty nice if I say so myself. It helps if you know your artist well because, for example, I knew that Red Velvet had released a promo for the comeback, and so I knew that I could get images from there, but whatever sources help according to the group you stand, just go for them. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and make a set for the circle images, and I'm going back to Photoshop, clicking Ctrl N again for a new document and making sure it says 300 pixels per inch. So for these ones you can't copy paste it, so go to File, Open, and look for where you got those screenshots and bring them into Photoshop. And it is very likely that they will open as a new document, so copy paste them, put them back in your placeholder size document or canvas. And okay, I see. So because the original image is horizontal, it doesn't look as good because we don't have the full circle, but let me look at the cards again. I'm going to use the magic eraser to delete this black border and go ahead and unlock the background layer and erase that too. So as you can see, as I mentioned earlier, when an image is now transparent, you get those white and gray background checkers. And okay, so I sort of tried to erase the edges more of the black, but I don't think it came out so good, so scrap that. And so the paint bucket tool right over here also serves as the gradient tool. So if you right click on it, you should be able to get to gradient. And personally, I really like the gradient tool. I think it can make some really pretty backgrounds and it's very useful. You basically create a gradient between the two colors that you have here on the sidebar. As you can see right now, it's going between the blue and the purple. And you can choose what kind of gradient it does and what kind of effect it goes for. Let me actually turn this off so you can see it better. You can have it be like that or have it focus on a central point. There's this one too, and you can have it be more of a line, or if you try this other one, it can look more like a diamond. I usually just do the basic gradient, but I'm gonna go ahead and do it on the background. So as a recap, we're just trying to create a good background for this circle image, but I don't think that what we have going on is working out necessarily. So I'm gonna attempt something real sneaky, even though I think it's not gonna work out. I am gonna go ahead and press B for the brush tool and open up the settings menu for it and make the softness very low, or make the hardness so low so that I can have very fluffy edges. And I'm gonna go ahead and click I so that I can get this like index color droplet chooser thing and choose the black color on the edge. However, it can pick up any color on the scene that you place it over, so this is really handy if you need to get a specific color. And I'm gonna bring this layer below the circle one first, just because I want to see how it's gonna look as like a circle completer. I don't really like how that's looking. I'm gonna make the brush smaller and trying to bring the layer up just to see if maybe that'll look better. I'm not liking this either. So I'm gonna trash that idea. But yeah, sorry, there's gonna be a lot of back and forth in this video because I honestly just want to show y'all what the actual process is. I didn't really plan it beforehand, and I think I'd rather show y'all what I actually go through as I make these. I'm trying to think though. Maybe first I'll make this image really big and see how it looks as a background first. And I guess I could leave it at that, but to be honest, I'm not in love. I'm gonna, if it's a smaller circle, how can we make this work when it does not have like edges like that? Oh my god, wait, didn't we have a circle from earlier? Okay, yeah, this one. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and copy paste it. Oops, okay, let me redock this. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and erase the black parts so that it is actually transparent. Wait, I'm gonna Control Z that, undo, and actually make the tolerance a little bigger. So basically what tolerance is how willing the magic eraser tool is, how willing the magic eraser tool is to erase things of the similar color. It took me a while to understand it myself, but basically the lower the number is, the more selective it'll be in erasing colors that are similar to it. I'm gonna go undo this just so that it's easier for y'all to visualize it. Basically, if I make the tolerance to 80, for example, and choose this pink part, it's actually gonna erase a lot of the pink because it's more willing to accept any shade of pink as what it erases. So for example, if we bring it down to 10 and I erase that same pink part, you see it's only erasing a little bit because it is only willing to tolerate colors really similar to the original shade of pink, rather than admitting a wider range of colors. So I'm actually gonna put my tolerance up to 25 and yeah, gonna erase these things. And I'm actually a little annoyed that you can still see a little black on the corners, but I'm hoping it won't be too visible in the final project or in the final product. And I'm zooming in with Control+. And yeah, that way you can get those little details that you might want to erase. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and bring in that circle and match it up with the circle size of that black area. And I'm actually gonna go back and redo a little bit of that because I don't think that last erase at tolerance 25 was very good, so I'm gonna redo it at 40. So I am setting it so that it sits right at the edges of the circle and it doesn't show any black. Oh, and just in case, I feel like I should have said this earlier, but press V or that little cross arrow at the top left of the toolbar to move things around. So it's important to switch between those modes. But anyway, yeah, so let's hide the background, and I'm not a fan of it that much, and we actually still have to do something about those blank spots at the top and bottom of the circle. Something you can always do is the clone stamp tool. So the stamp tool, yeah, I don't always remember where each tool is, but okay, yeah, here is the clone stamp tool. And I'm gonna make the size of it bigger. So I'm gonna show y'all what this basically does. Go to the layer of the image you wanna stamp and go ahead and do Alt-click, and that will basically create a stamp right off of the image at the point you chose. And then wherever you press, it's gonna fill in the same thing again. So as you can see, it's pretty handy for filling in parts that don't have an actual image to them, but you don't want it to look too out of the way. So I have it with very low hardness so that the edges are really blurry and fluffy, as you can tell there, and that way they can kind of combine better. But you're also welcome to do it at full hardness, and as you can see, the edges become really like strict. And I think I'm gonna make my brush size a little smaller. And once again, I'm gonna go back to my image and do Alt-click. So I'm just gonna fill in the blank spots. But yeah, so basically it's gonna continue into whatever part of the image from the center point you chose originally. So with the stamp tool, I find it really useful to continuously go back and Alt-click, recreate that stamp so that you can just like not go into like the black parts or parts of the image that don't make sense to add. So I'm just filling it in here and there, and as you can see, it's gonna give me the castle if I go too far. So just continue Alt-clicking. So far it is looking pretty good. I just have an extra one of these jellyfish things, so I'm just gonna cover it up real fast. I'm gonna do the same thing with the bottom part, but I am making the brush smaller because as you can see, we do not have a lot of like blank, clean background to work with. So we're gonna have to work in smaller chunks. And I am just continuing to do so. Alt click, stamp, alt click, stamp. And yeah, as you can see, in this part, it's starting to pick up the black side of the original stamp area. So yep, just continue redoing your stamp. So if we zoom out now, we basically have a perfect round image now, which is excellent. Okay, and I really like how this looks a lot more now. I think it's looking pretty good. I'm unsure if it's gonna perfectly match the original Kpop photos, but let's work it out. We can try to get it there. And I'm gonna unhide our gradient layer. And yeah, this already looks so much better. Hell yeah, definitely an upgrade. Although you can totally see where my stamp tool kind of went past the edges of the circle. So I'm gonna press E to go back to my erase tool and switch it back to a normal eraser, not the magic eraser. And I'm going to bring the size up a little and bring the hardness down so that the edges are blurry, and go ahead and clean up all around the outside of the circle. And to be honest, I'm still really annoyed at these black edges. So I am making the eraser way smaller and bringing the hardness down, and click on the layer that has the circle, of course. And I'm gonna go ahead and manually kind of erase with only the edge of the erase tool that little bit. Okay, so now we do not have those annoying black edges, and it's looking pretty good, right? Honestly, that blue to purple background is kind of cute. I'm really into it. I'm just gonna go back and look at the cards again because I still want to make sure they look good together. And they seem to be more on the gray to orange scale, so I'm gonna go back and make another layer and kind of mess around with some new versions of gradients. And I'm making a new layer so I don't lose that blue to purple one later. Let's get like a pale orangey color from what I'm seeing here. And if you click the little arrows next to the two colors, you're gonna switch them out. And it was like a grayish blue color, right? Who knows, it might not look good, but let's go back to our gradient tool and go ahead and try it. And remember to bring your layer below the other ones so that everything is actually visible. And I feel like this color set matches more, although it's not as cute as the original one. And I'm going orange to blue, but if you want it to be the other way around, just click in the opposite direction. And something you can do is actually make that line quicker. So that way, for example, here you would only get a little bit of the blue and more of the orange. I'm still unsure about the background. Maybe it would look better with a pattern, but BRB, because I actually already own the whole set and that's pretty lucky, so I'm gonna look at them. Okay, yeah, so I actually think that making the orange maybe a little brighter would work. And even though I know this color set isn't as pretty as the other one, I just know this is gonna look better in the end when we put it next to the other photos. Okay, well yeah, I'm just playing around here now. And yeah, I kind of like this one more. So honestly, I feel pretty satisfied with this end result. And I'm gonna go ahead and save it. I'm just gonna call it 1. I usually just do that. I name them by numbers and put them in the same folder according to the comeback. And I'm gonna go to File, Save As, so we can save it also as a JPEG, so we can actually print it out. And yeah, so I'm just gonna go ahead and zoom past the next part because I'm gonna be doing the same thing just with the other round screenshots we took, so that we have 4 placeholders, specifically because Red Velvet has 5 members, and so we are gonna need 4 placeholders to fill out the 9 pockets. So here you can see them all. I have made 4 of them for all of the placeholders we will need in the end. And yeah, I'm pretty satisfied. I think they're looking pretty cute. I'm just gonna go ahead and save them all and save them as JPEGs. Always be careful not to delete over the file extension name, you know, that .psc, .jpeg. Don't touch that, don't damage it because you will regret it. And so we're actually gonna need to print these, so I recommend doing Control N for a new document. And if you look at the top bar where it says print, click on that, and I would click on letter, because as you can see, it's gonna come with all of the measurements and stuff ready for a letter size paper that you can print at a normal printer. So now we just have to open those JPEGs that we made. So go to File, Open, and go to where you saved them and click on all of those JPEGs. So just go ahead and select all, copy, paste, and paste all of them into this new document. And what I found best is to put 3 per row. So make sure you leave a little space on the sides for where the printer cannot reach. So I do 2 rows of 3 and then 2 horizontal ones at the bottom. And we are basically done with this set, so that is great. But I still kind of want to do the one with the tags that we saw earlier. So I'm gonna go back and delete everything I don't need and just grab that really cool image of the placeholders in different colors. And I'm gonna be making these for the album cards for Day 2, even though I think they only have 3 blank spots in the end, but I think that'll be good. I think it'll look good with that, so I'm just going back to Photoshop and clicking Control N for another placeholder size document. And once I have it here, I'm gonna click on the M, or the marquee tool, aka this little thing to select part of the image, and just make sure you are on the layer you're supposed to be. So hide the bigger image, and although you can go with the erase tool, I think you're not gonna need it in the end, because if we make the tag big enough, it'll just cover the whole screen. So now that we have it here, it looks pretty good, honestly. And I'm gonna go back to the original card image. And as you can see, the cards are actually not as saturated as the tags look. So I think we should alter the image a little bit. Let's go back to Photoshop, and I am clicking over here on adjustments, but if you don't have it, there's a couple ways to get back on it. If you click up here, you can see that I am on the essentials like configuration for where all my things are in Photoshop, but you can play around and look at the other ones. They each have like different tools or windows incorporated, or if you go up here to window, you can just get the adjustments tab open. And I am going to exposure and bringing down the gamma correction a little. I believe that basically what that's doing is bringing in lightness and white into the image. I don't know the technical like photography based understanding of this, but it basically is playing with how much exposure, how much light the camera allows into the image when taking it, from what I understand. And feel free to play around with them. I think the top one is a little too much, but just see what works best for you. And I am going to Hue and Saturation to desaturate it a little bit. Saturation is just how bright each color is gonna be. So how much like brightness and fullness of color it has. But yeah, or you can also just saturate it like hell and saturate it intensely and microwave it. That's microwaved rev right there for ya. And let's bring it down a little and compare it to the other image. And of course, tip also, be careful where be careful with the photo that the person took for the Photocard set, because if they have their darkness down a lot, it's gonna really affect the color of the images. So, you know, just take it with a grain of salt. But yeah, I think that the yellow isn't as saturated. And looking at my original image, I honestly think it's looking really good. So I'm gonna go ahead and save it. I'm gonna go ahead and very quickly do the same with the other colors and match them as well as I can to the original album cards. As a pro tip for this one, I'm actually gonna try to make it a little more orange because that's what the cards look like more. So I am just moving the hue around in that same hue saturation adjustment part, and yeah, just play with it until you get the color you want. So now that I have everything saved as PSDs and JPEGs, I'm gonna go ahead and open the 4 other placeholders I just made. So I'm just popping them in there one by one, and for the bottom ones, feel free to put in this above area 90 degrees so you can have them perfectly straight. And yeah. Personally, I try to line up the bottom ones with the sides of the other ones well, so that when I put them through the guillotine, it'll just cut it in one go. And that is pretty much how I do this. This image, I would save it as a PSD first and also as a JPEG, and would just go ahead and print the JPEG. And yeah, that's pretty much what I do. I know it's a lot of work. This took so long. I totally understand if you don't want to do it for every era. I basically did most of mine in the summer when I had a lot more free time, but I totally get it if it's too much. For me personally, the way I see it, if I'm paying as much for my cards, and I don't know, I just like, they're so special to me that I want to put them in a house that kind of like makes them a pleasure to look through. And yeah, I just like to house them in a pretty way that makes sense with it all. But yes, that is basically how I make my placeholders. And yeah, I hope this helped everyone. If you have any questions, feel free to DM me on Instagram, and also feel free to share whichever placeholders you made going off of this tutorial. I'd love to see y'all's creations. Either way, I hope everyone has an excellent week, and I will see you in my next haul video. Bye!